Hello guys, if you are a CA final student planning to write for November examination, here a beautiful advanced auditing strategy for you. I know some of you have already taken coaching for CA final auditing and some of you are maybe probably planning self preparation or few have joined with me. Now I decided to do a video regarding how to simplify the subject. There are few chapters which I have selected, roughly 6 chapters. These 6 chapters occupies approximately 70 to 90 hours of preparation. If at all you are doing self preparation, 100 hours, it will occupy approximately 100 hours of time for preparation. If at all you have already taken coaching, then these chapters will occupy 50 to 60 hours for revising. So here a strategy which I implemented at CA Inter for many of my students. There is a concept called two-third approach strategy, which which like I uploaded previously, and many has acclaimed it. So what is this strategy is all about? For paper 3 advanced auditing CA final students only, this is applicable. I recommend ignore the following chapters. Ignore the following chapters. And the first and foremost chapter, audit under physical laws, both direct access and indirect access. Sir, are you joking? Many said audit under physical laws is the most important chapter, and there are guarantee questions of approximately 10 to 12 marks from the chapter, and you are saying ignore. My dear, understand, ignore means temporarily keep pending. Initially keep it pending. In the list of chapters that you are preparing, keep this particular chapter pending. Once you prepare whatever the list of chapters here I am giving, prima facie at the beginning you ignore it. Rest all other chapters you become master. Rest all other chapter you become perfect. And if you still have so much of time for preparing for exams and for preparing for other subjects, if you still have so much of time, then come back to these chapters. And first of all, sir, tell me why you say physical laws is to be kept in second priority chapter. I mean, you mean to say, whatever the chapters I'm saying you to ignore, these are second priority chapters and rest all other first priority chapters? Exactly. So let me list out what are the first priority chapters. As already, a second priority chapters I've already given an image. Let me write what are the first priority chapters. First, you need to understand certain fundamental concepts of audit. Okay, fundamentals, which is as per my material. Then you need to be very perfect at company audit chapter. Then you need to be perfect at audit reporting. You need to be perfect at audit reporting, which will cover approximately 12 standards. 700 series itself we are having 6 standards. 600 series some 3 standards. Yes, all of those standards will have directly or indirect impact on reporting by the auditor. 570 is one standard, 299 is another standard. So on an average, roughly whatever the level you ignore, 11 to 12 standards deal directly or indirectly with audit reporting. That should be perfect. Standards on auditing, you should be perfect. But if you see, I have kept certain standards here. Except these standards, 500, 520, 530, 230, 240, 210. Why, sir? 210, even 200 also. Why these has to be kept under pending, sir? Because these are CA inter-level standards which are exclusively tested at CA inter-level. Generally, these standards are not tested at final level. How can you say, sir? In your final study material book, it was clearly written at one of the page, I think in the probably in strategy chapter itself, in audit planning and strategy chapter at last, somewhere they have clearly mentioned, for the following standards please refer CA inter material. And for the examiner, the same book will be given for setting up the question paper. He will not have that much patience to open CA inter material and then read it and then give. Even if it all gives, I am asking you to keep it under second priority. I'm not asking you to ignore it completely, but keep it in second priority. Ignore means, in my point of view, keep it under second priority. If you have time for it, then you will come back later on. If you don't have time, no need to worry. You are already perfect at various other chapters. Remaining standards, you have to be perfect. Some 12 standards already covered. Some 6 standards we are ignoring. 18 standards are gone. Totally 36 standards we have. 35 standards on auditing and 1 standard on quality control. So rest 18 standards you need to read as part of standards chapter. Then you have to be master at ethics. Then you have to be perfect even at this one, peer review and quality review. peer review and quality review. Then you have to be perfect at audit committee and corporate governance. Actually, after ethics, you need to read this chapter, audit committee and governance. See, the order in which I'm writing has a specific importance. This is the most logical order to study. So then audit committee and governance chapter, then peer review. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and sixth chapter is this, seventh chapter is peer review. I mean the order which I'm asking you to study. Then you need to come and study peer review, quality review. Afterwards you need to study, okay, eighth internal audit, management audit and operational audit. The ninth one due diligence, 10th one forensic audit, then 11th one fraud investigation, okay, then 12th one audit of PSU, then 13th one audit of bank, then 14th one audit of insurance companies. So these are the chapters you have to be the perfect at. 15th chapter risk assessment, okay, risk assessment chapter also you have to be the best at, risk assessment chapter. That's it. These are the chapters prima facie you must focus on. If you want, pause the video for a moment or replay the video once again, the last 1.5 minutes where I covered the list of chapters. First finish all these chapters perfectly, plus of course automated environment and consolidated financial statements audit. These are all according to me first priority chapter, and I'm telling you, if at all you're perfect in these chapters, 90 marks of the paper you can definitely attempt. And coming back to this, why physical loss has to be ignored, sir? Guaranteely we will definitely get 12 marks, 10 marks to 12 marks, either in the form of MCQ or a direct question. Why are you saying ignore? Audit under physical loss is approximately 180 pages. Generally, almost, even if you take my classes or anybody else classes, we will be spending at least 15 to 20 hours of time on explaining the concept of audit under physical loss. Okay, forget about teaching time. Preparation time for audit under physical loss is taking damn sure high amount of time. However, look at this. If you are a CA final student writing both the groups and have taken coaching of already direct access also, then for you, this chapter is just like a very simple catwalk. If at all you have taken IDT classes as well as DT classes, you are planning to write both the groups, you are studying that, you have studied them already. Then if you finish those two subjects, then come back to this and read. It feels very simple for you. Audit under physical loss is a chapter which you need not even read. I'm telling you, you need not even read if at all you have finished the DT and IDT coaching. Suppose you are writing only for group 1. You have not yet taken coaching for any group 2 subject, and you're only taking coaching for group 1. Audit under physical loss, if you're listening, so many provisions of income tax and GST we will be discussing here. In auditing, generally when we are explaining audit aspect, we never touch the provision. We only touch about the reporting aspect. What auditor has to report with respect to 3CD filling and with respect to GSTR 9, say like, audit form. Only how to fill those forms, what we need to report, that only we discuss. We don't discuss about the provisions, but the questions will be asked in such a way, a slightly amount of a percentage of provision will be tested. So my request, this many pages, this much of time you need to invest just for 10 marks. That is the reason I'm asking you to keep it in second priority, man. If not ignoring, at least keep it in second priority. Later on, if at all after you finish whatever the chapters I covered here, whatever you finish these chapters, okay, once you finish them perfectly, if you still have time, come back and then read physical loss. Same way, liabilities of auditor. There is a chapter called liabilities of auditor in your ICA material, which purely discusses about so many case laws happened in 19th century. At least if they discuss case laws of 21st century, fine, interesting. 19th century case laws. So till date, I have not seen a question on liabilities of auditor. Generally, the questions of liabilities on auditor is asked with ethics. Most of the cases covered under liabilities of auditor are already covered in ethics chapter. The next one, audit strategy and planning. This is actually SA 300 related. You are having this material roughly some 15 to 20 pages. This is also a chapter where generally at CA Inter will be mostly tested. I'm not asking you to ignore. Once again, please keep these chapters in your second priority list. And 500, 520, 530, 230, 240, 210. 500 evidence, 520 analytical procedure, 530 sampling, 230 documentation, 240 fraud, and 210 engagement, terms of engagement. If at all any of you want any coaching for this, I have my marathon. In my marathon, I think most of these topics I've already covered. In my marathon lecture of CA Inter, I've covered already. For you at CA Final, they will not be covering. No faculty will be covering. Okay, so you can just open my marathon and then have a look into it for understanding these chapters if at all you don't want to ignore. An audit of NBFC, audit of insurance. You know, NBFC and insurance companies together approximately 100 pages. See, I'm not asking insurance companies you have to ignore either insurance companies or risk assessment chapter. Here I kept no risk assessment. You can either ignore this chapter or you can either insurance, any one point, any one chapter you can ignore. Both are of equivalent time. It will take equal time whether you want to crack insurance company audit or whether you want to understand risk assessment. Both take equal time. But risk assessment is mostly a point of discussion about controls. Mostly the discussion revolves around controls: internal control, operational control, compliance control, entity level controls, okay, corporate governance level controls. So it talks about completely control management, risk control matrix. It talks about so much of SA 315, which is little difficult terminology. Suppose for you, if at all you feel insurance company audit is difficult for you, you can read this, or you can either read that. So choice is yours. But any one chapter, either in insurance companies or risk assessment, one chapter you please ignore. So 6 chapters, 6 topics, I can say more clearly. Please keep them under second priority. Please keep them under second priority. And finally, many students are asking me to conduct a marathon for CA final. Yes, for sure I will conduct a marathon, definitely. 15 hours of marathon I will try to conduct in September month. But remember, a marathon class of mine can never be a substitute for my regular class. Okay, for the benefit of those whoever have already finished coaching, who can't afford 1 second coaching, don't worry. Okay, I'll conduct a marathon. Through my marathon, I'll definitely bring a, an abundant clarity for you on the entire subject of auditing. Many of us are reading subject of auditing without knowing why are we reading it. We simply consider it as a theory subject and boring subject. Practicing some question banks will make us to pass. No, auditing is the most practical subject. The only thing is you must know how to deal with it. So just wait for my marathon class in September mid. Okay, in the meantime, I hope the remaining, whatever the chapters I said which are important, I hope you will definitely read them. So if at all you're having any queries, post it as a comment. I'll definitely feel happy to clarify that. That's it. Have a nice time. Bye-bye.